positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
WESN.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Mark Anthony Peter, and welcome to Breakthrough right here on WESN Content Capital. Thank you so much for tuning in. And joining me on the Breakthrough table, as per usual, is my co-host, the thorn in my side, the stone in my shoe, Sean Michael Small. Hi, Sean.
You know, that's how one of my callers on Talking Point likes to start. You know, he likes to start off. I'll steal his lines.
Okay.
If I'm such a thorn, why am I here? Why am I, you know? It's like when a boss has that employee that they love to complain about, like the workplace will be so much better, the business will make so much more profit if we just replace them. It's like, why don't you replace them? Why? So of course now the answer varies, you know, but I'll be very interested to see. I'll be very interested to see what the answer will be here.
Whatever. You're here because I can't do this on my own.
That's not entirely true. You've done it on your own before. Point number one. Point number two, I've even told you, you know, it might be good for you to kind of exercise those skills because it makes it better. It makes you better when you have somebody because you have more tools in toolkit.
But then if you're not here, then I don't get to have this wonderful exchange that I look forward to every Monday morning.
Really? You really look forward to it every morning?
I do.
The amount of regret in your voice on a nearly week-to-week basis.
I do.
Right?
Listen.
Let me guess, your favorite Monday was Carnival Monday. Not because it was Carnival, not because they had Juve, but because you didn't have to deal with my sarcasm that Monday. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Thank you. I knew it. I knew it. Speaking about Carnival, I stayed home. How was your Carnival?
My Carnival was lovely. I did Juve morning, and then after Juve morning, I stayed home, and I slept. And that was it for me.
That was it for you?
Yes, it was great.
Now, for someone who is, of course, a musician, how did you, because this is one of the things I think, funny enough, even people who don't play Carnival, because with some of my friends, you know, the observation on soca this year, the music this year. And in your case, then we could go further to Calypso this year. How was the music this year? Because I did get a sense that, funny enough, the years that I think that the music isn't that bad or might be pretty good are not necessarily years that I'm like following what's going on, but I do hear the different songs. Like, oh, there seems to be quite a few songs that, you know, that are catchy.
I think for me the music this year was really well done. I think I said this to you off air. I think this carnival was much more hyped, much more energized than last year.
Yeah.
I know everybody was saying, you know, last year was when it was going to be the mother of all carnivals. Wasn't quite like that based off of my experiences and the experiences of other people.
Yes, you and some people might say it was the mother-in-law.
Yeah, it was very much the mother-in-law.
It was the redheaded stepchild of Carnival, stepsister. Stepsister-in-law.
Stepsister-in-law.
That's what it was.
But no, this carnival was great, and I think it's because, you know, we were able to prepare properly and all of those things.
So funny enough, Breakthrough not breakthrough, sorry, Talking Point started in the pandemic. So of course there was no carnival pre-pandemic that was more on a normal footing that we went through until the last couple of years or so, right? And we have complained and criticized how the NCC has done things.
Right.
Except this year, I just feel I don't really have, like I could nitpick maybe, but based on what I saw on TV, based on how the traffic went, how events were handled and stuff like that, I'm like, my life didn't seem to be that disrupted. And yet they still had events.
Yeah.
The events had a lot of...
They had a lot of events this
They had a lot of
Wow.
staff. They were run relatively well. Yes, I saw some mistakes on the broadcast for some of the things done on the avenue. But at the same time, and yes, I do wish they would find a different spot to put the commentators for panorama and the like, and find different shots and way to shoot it and stuff like that. But like, it's not that it was done badly. And it didn't seem, people on the inside might laugh when I say this because they will know more than me, but on the outside it didn't seem as badly run or as badly organized as it might have been before.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the things, and maybe I'm over-indexing it, I have to drive around the Savannah, right that corner before Charlotte Street if I want to go just about anywhere. And usually carnival time is supreme annoyance.
Right.
Because the traffic will just back up cars trying to get into the Savannah to get to whatever event, whether it's patrons or what, and that whole stretch in Savannah, right by Napa, will be a mess more often than not. That was not the case this year,
Okay.
right? More often than not, it was reversed. It was fine. It was either very, very reasonable or non-existent, right? Because there were events going on in the avenue, and of course now part of the question is, was there enough patrons? But I have never seen that happen before, those events in the avenue like that before. I'm like, that makes sense, you could drive around it a lot more easily.
So, as you mentioned that, so remember I said I went to, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Freetown Collective's concert. Now this is the first time that this happened to me. So, when driving to, so it was in Sound Forge, which is in Mokrapo, anybody who doesn't know it, it's in the back of Mokrapo there. And what they had, I don't know if they had it the last year, but when I was entering, there was somebody a little bit before Sound Forge, and there was a parking lot that I'm assuming that they rented and stuff like that. So they actually had people park there, and they had like a runaround shuttle service, taking people closer to Sound Forge to sort of mitigate the traffic. So if anybody who doesn't know what Sound Forge is, next to Sound Forge is a parking lot, and then a little bit outside of Sound Forge is more parking space. But usually the Freetown's concert is very, very well attended. So people parked in the parking lot next to Sound Forge. They parked
the further away car
yeah, and then the further away car park, really nice big. I think that was next to one of the Mokrapo schools. Really nice big Savannah car park. They say park in there. The guy, the parking people really put us, did it efficiently for us. And then
yeah, it was not free for all.
Yeah, and then shuttle took us back and forth. And I was like, oh, that's new, and that makes sense because usually getting in and getting out, because if people who don't know that road, that's literally one way in, one way out. So if one person makes a bad drive or one person makes a stupid parking, it just keeps everybody back. But that was really good. So on that point of things sort of being improving and being a little bit more efficient, I experienced that.
Because, you know, some of the family were watching the TV, you know, with stuff going on the avenue, various individual costume displays and whatnot, right? And like, how well attended is it, especially the early hours? It seemed like the later it went on, more people showed up, right? And I'm just wondering, like, look, when you try something new, you have to give it some leeway that not everybody is going to hear about it, understand it, or accept it. But then when you see it and it proves itself to be decent or reasonable, more people might show up to partake in it. And then who knows? Then all of a sudden the problem is, does the avenue have enough seating? You know, depending. But I do think, because there's a part of me that wants to be like, how could you just block off part of the avenue? But then I'm like, on a practical level, and maybe this is selfish of me, when the Savannah is half blocked off, right, because of stuff going on the stage, right? Yeah, you're not actually blocking off Savannah, but essentially you're doing the same thing, and the Savannah is such an important thoroughfare to get around the area that you're impacting. Whereas with the avenue, you could just go on Transit Road.
Yeah.
You know, if it's the events on a weekend, if it's a Saturday, how bad could it really be? You could go on Rice Road, you could go on Tragley Road, you could opt out a lot easier.
Right.
So there was that. Of course, these are minor details. It doesn't speak to the entirety of Carnival. I think the Kaiso competition was in Radisson. That was interesting. The room looked full, so it seemed like it was very well attended.
Yeah.
And also, yes, okay, one nitpick, when they were introducing the judges for the freestyle competition, like, they need to not necessarily read some of the judges' full bio.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It needs to be like 5 lines on next person. It was a little long, but other than that, the hosts seemed to be doing their job well. Right. They had a good flow, and the event itself, it didn't seem as though, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it didn't seem as though they had a lot of scheduling issues where they were delayed and late, and they did, you know, like.
So it was good.
So things were good.
What I would like to say though, and this kind of happens very rarely. So Republic Bank, in terms of Panorama, Republic Bank Exodus won Panorama finals.
Right.
Now what happened is, and this happens very, very rarely, where, because they also won the semifinals. So it's very rare that the same band that won the semifinals also wins the finals. So that's also, so I just want to say congratulations to Republic Bank Exodus.
Here's a question though, wouldn't one think that should not be the rarity? Because like in sports, you don't always want the 1 seed throughout the playoffs to be the winner, because then there's no drama, right? There's no drama at all. But generally, the 1 seed probably has a slightly higher odds, the 1 or the 2 seed, than the 6 seed.
But I guess with sport, maybe
it's performance based, but it's still objective.
It's still very like, it's the amount of goals that you hit. Whereas with Panorama, what you play in the semifinals, you actually have to improve on that.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, that.
Oh, because everybody is.
Everybody is.
Right. So that's
you can't play the same. You can't play it in the same.
But
way.
you are playing the same song.
You're playing the same song, but you may adjust the arrangement just slightly, and once you stay within the rubric, right? So once you stay within the rubric, and you're a little bit more, because you have that creative side of it.
But when you're saying change, you're not talking about, oh, let's just not play flat on these notes. You're talking about no. What could we do?
Yes.
Wow. Like, right, in terms of direction, in terms of switching things up, having like some twists. We're not just talking about execute better people. We're not just talking about that. You're talking about no. We wanna have a few tricks in the pocket that we didn't have in the semi.
Exactly. Because some of them would play for semifinals and it'll just be the band, and then for finals, flag bearer, dancers, or a whole set of performative things. I mean,
on some level,
to add to the entire thing.
On some level, should you win Panorama just because you have non-pan things?
Just because you have what?
Non-pan things. Flag bearers are technically.
Well, you see, it depends on the rubric and how much scores go into like the creative performance aspect of it.
Okay,
there are the musical things, but then there's the.
So they switch it up every year.
Yeah, then there's the original.
I didn't watch much of Panorama, but I will say this. I think I got.
I'm so upset.
I did catch at least one big band playing, and I was like, oh, these people are not messing around. This is some serious playing we're talking about here. This is not some.
Because I'd coming back to that point. So like in semi-finals, First Citizen Supernovas came second,
right?
And BP Renegades came third,
right?
And then for finals they switched. BP Renegades came second, and Supernovas came third. So it's all about.
Do you think the winners the song they selected, because we spoke about this before, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the band that I heard playing, the song they selected, I can't remember why, but it didn't seem like a traditional, like it didn't seem like anything that was recent in Calypso. And I don't even know if it was Calypso.
You talking about Exodus?
I don't know if it was the winners, but the one band I heard play, right?
Okay.
I don't know what category it was, but this looked like big band, and it might have been the finals night.
Okay.
But yeah, but with regards to Exodus, right?
Yeah,
that won.
They did Two One Way by Voice.
Okay.
Yes.
Did I see that? No, I don't think I saw that.
Yeah.
But do you think it was the song selection that made the difference?
So sometimes that has an impact.
Because what song you do, like you could only do so many tricks if the song doesn't allow for a trick, you just can't do it. If the song doesn't allow for any creativity.
Well, remember, there's okay. So there's certain sections in a panorama tune. So you have the main song that you have, right? And then you do your little improvisations inside of that, and you do your arrangements and stuff like that. Then you have what is called, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to get. Sometimes you put in excerpt of another song in it.
Right.
Right, and you just kind of make that arrangement, because panorama music arrangements has a particular structure, and it allows for a lot of creativity. It's not just this song from beginning to end of the song,
yes.
and you try to,
oh,
and it's the same chord. No.
And yes, one of the things is the
and you
band
probably
that
put in like a modulation, a change key here and there, you change the tempo, or
the
stuff
band
like
that I heard, they
melody.
did that. For some reason, I just have in the back of my mind, I could be very wrong, like they played something classical or something that was based or sample like, classical.
That's been done before.
Yes. Yeah.
That's been done before. But no, it was coming back to it. Carnival was great based on what I see. I had a couple of friends played Mass for the first time, and they had a fun time. Juve was nice. And it was really good. It was nice. I appreciate it. But Carnival is over.
Yes, it is.
And what season is coming up?
Summer.
No, Easter is coming up.
Easter.
And
I was going to say Lent.
Well, we in Lent.
We in Lent, yes.
Lent can't come up.
Is there really an Easter season? For arts there is.
Yeah, because some people have their concert at the Palm Sunday weekend. Some people have concerts the Easter Sunday weekend.
To be
and
fair,
the
Lent is all of that, right? Technically. Religiously, Lent is Easter.
But sometimes people have things after Easter, because some people really don't do things the weekend of Easter. So it's either the weekend before, a couple weekends before, or a couple of weekends after. So there is a season.
Technically, Lent is part, not of the artistic season, but part of the religious.
The liturgy, yes.
That then informs the artistic season, because it is
sometimes
generally based around most things. If it's Easter time, it's going to be an Easter concert.
Yes.
Just like Christmas time, it's going to be a Christmas.
But you see, with Christmas, there's so much like preparation and cleaning and getting all of these things done. With Easter, it's like, oh, okay, it's Easter. You just focus on there isn't any sort of cultural things that we do that is specific to Easter, aside from the religious going to church and all that.
Isn't there supposed to be a rabbit and chocolate eggs?
Wrong side of the world. Well, actually, the right side of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And as a child, we did do that just a couple of times. And when I say a couple, I literally mean a couple.
Okay.
But yes, but there are cultural things.
Yes.
We still have eggs, even if there's no bunny. Somebody will, sometimes family might buy an egg. So just, there's nothing beyond, oh, look, for Easter, some chocolate in the shape of an egg. That's it. That's as far as it goes. It's like Christmas light. Like, it's like Christmas light.
Christmas.
Yeah, diet, well. There's no presents, except you have some chocolate in the shape of an egg.
You might go somewhere for Easter weekend. There's a little vacation happening there.
Yeah, but my point is there's no gifts, there's no tree, there's no lead up, there's no set of things to unwrap. You get some chocolate in the shape of an egg. And somehow, when you're very young, that's the best chocolate ever because it's in the shape of an egg.
I do not recall ever getting chocolate eggs. I think that probably creeped me out because I also used to like have rabbits as, so I'm like, why am I eating chocolate eggs? It looks like they're,
the funny part is you wouldn't say, but you eat chicken eggs, right?
Yeah.
Do they look that much different to rabbit eggs?
First of all, rabbits don't lay eggs.
Well, there you go.
What is
there you
this?
go. Because I'm like, why are you talking about the chocolate eggs look so much like what? What do they look so much like? I don't understand what you used to raise rabbits. The Easter Bunny doesn't give you his eggs made out of chocolate. Or her?
I'll tell you in the break. Anyway, those who know. But anyway, coming back to it, all right? There's a reason that I brought up Easter is because I am having a concert on April 6th at the Little Carib Theatre.
Shameless self-promotion. I love it. Love it.
My group, One Voice, we're having a concert, What Love Is, an Easter celebration.
Have you ever started rehearsal?
This is the second time you've interrupted me during the promotion.
Because it's a self-promotion. You know, technically, I don't need to respect it that much, otherwise I'll be accused of selling out too.
I'm going to try this again because I need something to post on Instagram. Be quiet.
Don't you just love my sarcasm?
Be quiet.
Me, don't you?
Let's try this again, okay?
Oh, no, editor, you don't send them the rest of the episode. You send them that clip, that's what he posts to social media.
I hate you, dog. Let's try this again. Trying this again. Right, we're on the close-up. Lovely. So, I am having an Easter concert April 6th at the Little Carib Theatre. It is featuring One Voice, my performing arts group, What Love Is, an Easter celebration at the Little Carib Theatre, Sunday the 6th of April at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are $200. You can check us out on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Actually, I recently. And you can always contact us and contact me on our social media for tickets. Tickets also will be available at the Little Carib Theatre box office. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much. Speak.
Do I get my egg now?
You idiots.
Okay, we do have a video to show as well before the guests, right? So
we actually have a topic of discussion.
We have a topic of discussion. Let's rush straight into it, I think.
Please, before we... Right, so I sort of brought this video because I thought it was interesting because it's sort of reflective of stuff that we've also discussed in the past. So let's just take a quick look at this clip.
So, in a very serious way,
We need to hear it.
it is not possible for an artist to be a success.
Volume, please.
Can we
No.
Then would you say that again?
I said it is not possible for an artist to be a success.
Thank you.
Once you think of yourself as a success,
You're finished.
you forget it.
Benito.
Forget
Because
it.
you know what I find is that you begin to believe your own publicity.
You begin
That's
to take your
one,
identity from other
from something
people.
else, and you stop experimenting because somebody says, well, when you did so-and-so, that was such a success. Why don't you do that again?
Look, when I wrote
Right. So that was James Baldwin sitting with the late Dr. Maya Angelou, both of them. So what I found...
I never saw that young, so I didn't know
yes.
who was the female
Yes.
speaker. Wow, okay.
Yes. So what I found interesting when he started off saying, and we started off season 2 with this discussion about how we define success when we had Chris and Joseph on.
Yes.
Right. And he said, you know, once the artist reach success, you know, you're basically finished, right? And I think, and Dr. Mangelo, she said, you know, because you're always experimenting on all of these things. But what really struck me is her last statement, where she said, oh gosh, and we just played it, where she said, where people like the product that you do, and,
Right.
and they comment on it and say it's such a success.
Keep doing that.
Why don't you do it again? And it's like, I can think of at least 5 examples in my life where people are like, this is the formula, this
Yes.
is what happens,
I
this
know,
is what
yeah.
we do. And is it really it's not that much of a, to call it so much of a success, or to call it artistic, you're just following a formula and you're fitting all of your stuff into that formula.
The funny part is, I want to say the business world will give you an example why it doesn't work, but ironically, it's because of the business of art, right? Not just the business world, but even in art, the fact of the matter is, look, at some point the market will change, trends will change, and if you're just copying the trend, if you're just following a formula, what that is not, I understand my audience and I connect with my audience and I understand what they want. What that is even if I'm not directly copy and paste and I understand how to do the elements, but the point is I'm doing a formula. I'm the chef that knows how to copy a recipe or replicate a recipe. But to what extent can I, yes, I got a good recipe once, and that's why they say, well, just keep doing that. But can I get another recipe? Because eventually, at some point, people won't want that anymore. Not Gordon Ramsay, his teacher, Marco Pierre White, he gave up his Michelin stars because, and at that point, the food is not just, you know, burgers and fries. We're talking high art of culinary, right? Yeah. He was like, look, you're playing defense all the time. You're trying to keep up now to keep your stars. There's no, I have my stars, and then, you know, I could just concentrate on giving good food to people and enjoying my success. I have to keep at that level that got me in the first place, and that is gruesome already. So it's like, I just want to have my achievement, I'll give back the stars, I don't need to maintain it, because I don't need to be a 3 Michelin star restaurant to be a good restaurant for people to enjoy, right? And I don't want to live that life.
So that actually comes to the point that they made, where it's like when you start identifying the art with too much with other people's approval, stuff like that. So my question to you, and we could discuss this, so at what point do you keep updating the art because the formula no longer works versus just following the trend to try to keep up, and then your art kind of starts to suffer? Because let's think about like those of them who, like the actors and the singers and the performers, all of those artists who have that staying power, right? They've experimented. You know, one thing that a lot of performers do, what they record in the studio is not necessarily what they do in the live concert. And depending from city to city, they might even change up the live performance. You know, you bring up Sting a lot of the times. He's one of those people. If I think about actors, I think about like the type of stuff that Meryl Streep does, the type of things that all of those really
Hugh Jackman, Gerald Butler. I bring them up because they did musicals and they did commercial action movies, and they have a wide range in their career, right? Here's the way. First of all, for those that fully didn't understand, Marco Pierre, he had to kept generating new stuff to keep his star, right? It wasn't just copy and paste, right? He had to be like, it was such a grind because you're being so highly rated. He couldn't just coast, right? Or he couldn't, but also he didn't have the freedom to just experiment with however he wanted to. He had to meet the standards, right? So I think it all depends on the type of artist you are with regards to what is your best pace? Is your best pace constant and working and constant because you just have too much creative juices, or your process requires you to have a manic pace, and maybe you take breaks, like maybe after a while you take a long break, or you take short breaks in between it. It all depends on pace.
So I guess it's that thing between how commercial versus how artistic you want to be. Do you want to be artistic most of the time, or do you want with the occasional commercial thing here, or do you want to be commercial all of the time with the occasional? Because if you had to keep doing these things to keep the stars,
so the question,
then that means the stars were dictating the outside validation or the outside reward was dictating what the art would be.
And the unfortunate thing is, or what makes culinary complicated is 3 Michelin stars commercial. Because you could charge high prices and just having the 3 stars will appeal to certain people, but you're not going to have mass appeal. You're going to lose out on certain markets and demographics, right? And you're not going to be having a menu with high turnover.
Do you think it applies to the same thing like the Oscars and the Grammys and stuff like that? Because just because somebody didn't win an Oscar or a Grammy doesn't make them a bad artist, and that doesn't mean that they're not popular.
Honestly, I think it's worse. It's worse because with food, there is no, what is the deeper message in why you picked strawberries?
This just tastes really, really good, and I'm going to
have it again. Is it interesting?
Yeah.
Is it well thought out? You could have a message, but I'm not trying, like most food, you can't really put a political statement in food. You could put a political statement in movies. You could put...
Like what is this double telling me?
Movies from Hollywood, all movies and regions have their own biases. Let me just state that up front, right? Hollywood's problem is they have the index too much now on certain styles of messaging.
Right.
That they kind of lost the boat, right? Some of the best messaging comes from science fiction. Not saying that Star Trek Next Generation was Emmy winning in terms of a lot of the acting performances, but it definitely was Emmy winning with its scripts. Its scripts had a lot of discussions on ethics. Now it used science fiction to give us
sort of
analogies, right? It's easier, and I've said this before on different shows, it's easier to talk about racism when you're not talking about actual races now, where you could bring up situations where everybody could look at it neutrally.
It's a little
right?
bit more palatable, yeah.
Because you could have humans with aliens. Now, you could change the point of view. It could be white humans, Chinese humans, black humans, right? But it's still not humans versus humans where we are now going to like have real world feelings directly. We'll have it indirectly because now we have freedom now in how the message is crafted to like really see both sides. Because what is our... I'm not sure if I need to make up one or use a real one, but say most people won't care what a Klingon is.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
So, for example, a good show that it's a cartoon, the Avatar franchise, The Last Airbender, that sort of thing, where it's like nations are based on off of abilities. So the Earth Nation, the Fire Nation, the Earth Kingdom. The Earth Kingdom, the
you don't
Fire
need to
Nation,
get all these specifics.
the Water Tribe. No, listen, I am a fan, so I need to make sure that that is done well. And then the people that don't have those abilities.
Yes.
So it's all of those mixed up, sort of like X-Men, the mutants versus the human race, that sort of thing, right? People who just say it's like you said, it's
the
easy to
X-Men
make.
literally was meant to be an example and analogy for bigotry.
Right.
The obvious one is racism, but then it could go beyond that, right? And anti-Semitism is literally written into the story. One of the main characters, Magneto,
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
The Holocaust is part of his backstory.
Part of his backstory.
Here's the thing though, and this is ironically, you see the copy and paste probably the worst. Hollywood. All these sequels. Why? Because it's a copy and paste thing. Let's just do more of that.
More of it.
And what happens is they don't understand why it's successful. So when the copy and paste doesn't work, because the superhero movies, when they were successful, they weren't static.
Yeah.
They evolved, and the movie and the storylines also developed, the characters developed. But when you now try to, okay, now that certain parts of the stories are over, and we need to find out what's next. Well, a lot of it was copy and paste, down to the point where the last Captain America movie, which, listen, I don't have an issue with the black Captain America and Sam Wilson. I love Anthony Mackie. I think he's a great actor. I love the character, right? But they essentially, the story apparently copied two basic plot points from a previous Captain America movie from the old Captain America. It's like, why are you doing that? He needs his own story, right? One of the things with regards to race swapping is, well, why race swap? Why do black actors need to take white roles for relevance? Why can't you make black characters if you want to see more black representation? Black Panther was a black character.
So make it unique.
Right.
In the sense, as opposed to a carbon copy of something.
Exactly, because also it's not as interesting. So, but the point is now, that's why you see, look, they want to have a miniseries for Harry Potter. That's why Dune came out and they want to do a miniseries on the next movie. And that's why there are TV shows that I think now are kind of somewhat average. Yeah. But they go into 7, 8, 9 seasons.
There is a singer who said recently, when she started off in like Disney. She was very much those young singers up and coming. Yeah. And she felt like the executives were like, how can we make this?
Sabrina Carpenter?
No, this was Coco Jones, a black singer,
okay.
right? And she said in an interview, she felt like, how can we make this white music work on this black girl, as opposed to how can we make this black girl work?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's that sort of thing, as you said, that came to mind. But what I want to coming back to it. So if it comes back to my question, like how commercial you want to be, how you define success, first of all, going back to our first episode, how commercial you want to be, how artistic you want to be, and how okay you are with either of those choices.
I'll use a movie example, then I'll come back to Carnival, right? And I'll try and be quick. Top Gun Maverick. It's a commercial movie, right? A lot of nostalgia, America, rock and roll, right? The opening sequence literally is just fan service to the Top Gun franchise, of which there was only one movie, but it's a beloved movie, right? But then when you watch the movie critically, listen, it's not an Oscar-winning directorial performance, right? But there was a lot of skill in the direction of that movie. There were a lot of scenes with very minimal or no dialogue. Tom Cruise is playing opposite Jennifer Connelly, and he is conveying so much emotion with no words, with just how he looks at her and how she looks at him. It's an action movie, that managed to balance off in its editing, its cinematography and direction. How do we get all of this emotion with all of these non-verbal scenes and then have all of this crazy, you know, special effects? Well, they actually were in Planes for Real, in some of them anyway. Sequences and these jets at the end, we have this over-the-top action sequence to close off the movie. Yet we put so much emotion between Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly, Tom Cruise and Miles Teller, right? And they did it artistically, right? Dune is a special effects extravaganza, but part of these special effects, why they're effective, is they were done artistically. And part of it is a lot of these shots, the cinematography, the shot composition, right? So I think it needs to be a balancing act, right? The most artistic movies, they go to Sundance, they don't have that wide appeal, they're not gonna make money, but in part you do those projects to flex those muscles, but then ironically you also need to flex your commercial muscles every now and then, right? So you need to have a balance, and then depending on the artist.
Now is there some level of, go ahead.
Because now we could go to Marshall and Bungie. Because I said off air, right? I'm not going to repeat everything I said. Some of it I said in Talking Point last week, Thursday. Marshall did take some breaks, right? It's not like Marshall for his entire life, every year, it was big truck, into the next one, into the next one, into the next one, right? He had this song with the trumpeter from South Africa. Oh gosh, I love that song. Like, that's not going to win the road march. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, to some extent, you could argue he does follow a formula. But it's not like everything he does follow that formula. So some of it is minor variations to the formula, and some of it is, we go from HD to Monk. We're gonna do some somewhat big changes.
So essentially, when you said previously, it's exercise the artistic muscle, but also understand it's an artistic business, and business has those sort of trends and stuff like that.
You need to understand to what level your artistic muscle is valid, both critically and commercially. The director of Dune, Denis Villeneuve, he understood that to a T. Star Wars The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, who is otherwise a great director from what I understand. I'm not a fan of his because of Last Jedi. It was a disaster of a film for the franchise, and when you're in a franchise, then the push and pull of artistry and creativity versus commercialization is a different formula. So you need to understand with each project, if it's my project alone and I don't need to be successful, I can afford to do all kind of experimentation. But if I'm collaborating with a set of different people and we want to have a monster hit and it's for a movie or whatever, like there needs to be some amount
sort of thing. So I would, to sort of wrap up this segment, I would say maybe the best way to approach it is just have a little bit of a certain level of curiosity, because I would even say
that's good. Yes, that's good.
There is a little bit of fun in trying to appeal, while also still trying to find, because just that whole process of trying to find that balance, it could be a little bit exciting and a little bit experimental.
I hate to bring it up again, but I think basically Drake is a good example of you copy and paste too much. He has other problems, but I won't go into that. You copy and paste too much. And Kendrick is a good example of there were some things that he did that did not have that commercial appeal. But in some ways, because he allowed himself to have those projects now, when he comes with his the singles he released last year and his most recent album, now he has the credibility as an artist to either get away with certain things, or he has the creative muscles to do certain things.
Yes, correct. So I would even say, just to wrap up, I experience it myself. Like, there are certain things that I do all the time, teaching, leading, conducting, that sort of thing. Sometimes I just want to be a performer, come into rehearsal and leave. That just exercises my sort of muscle, because I don't always want to be the one in front conducting all the time. Do I like it and do I love it and I'm really good at it, it can't be the only thing that I do.
It's a similar dynamic, not the same, ladies and gentlemen, but what he said there, that's leadership versus just being a participant to be an artist as opposed to an organizer and administrator.
Correct is right. But, and this is one of the things that I do every Monday morning with my wonderful co-host, Sean Michael Small.
Oh, I'm wonderful now.
And on that note, I will be back with Sean Michael Small. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Claudette, radiographer at the radiology departments at the community hospital. We offer high-quality service with state-of-the-art equipment in X-ray, ultrasound, CT, and mammogram. Come, our friendly staff awaits you.
Give us a call at 235-5479.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
Where good private health care is affordable.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas, and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available. SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
The Constitution doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia is responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
And welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen, to Breakthrough. Now, I've been in, I just kind of want to come back to what we were talking about, where I mentioned there are certain situations where people have the same formula, and it works. Now, what are some of the things, and I want to ask you this, Sean, what are some of the things, not what are some of the things, when there's a formula, and
I wish you had a formula right now for this question.
This is what happens. This is television. Now, even though there's a formula, and maybe the formula is well received, but it's well received by the same people all of the time.
Right.
Does that necessarily make it a bad thing? Just because it's the same people all of the time and it's nothing really new. Now, let's say, for instance, for the people involved in the thing, let's say after the first 2 years, you realize, oh, it's the same, okay, it's the same thing over and over and over again. What else, is that necessarily a bad thing in terms of success? Because if you're getting your patrons and people are attending or buying into your product, that could be some level of success. But if it's a matter of, that could be some level of success, even though the people involved might not see it that way. What is that sort of dichotomy? Could be dichotomy is not the word, but that sort of relationship could be a little bit awkward, and is that necessarily a bad thing?
So that exists in a lot of artistic forms, right? Mm-hmm. Ironically, particularly with commercial art.
Right.
Because you have a show has its following. Ironically, you might be doing a movie, you might be rebooting the show because it has a following, but then you want to change things, and when the pre-existing fans are like, no, we don't like it, you're like, well, this isn't meant for you. It's like, why are you rebooting something that's not meant for the original fans? Not meant to include the original fans.
Right.
Right? Then you might as well do something new if it's meant for new people, right? Because I think a lot of the current artists don't really understand art.
Can you strike the balance between the two? Appealing to new and keeping
Yes, you can, but
okay.
you have to understand art. And it's almost like if a lot of the commercial industries, like TV and movies, they think it's almost like if it's a plug and play, right? And that's why, to some extent, you see in a lot of genres, the quality of the output is reduced. Right now, how many movies did you look forward to watching this year? Right? That's number one. Number two, how many singers, how much music really are you, in multiple genres, are you excited to hear or looking forward to, right? Yeah. That's not, and how many singers has the same level of appeal that the superstars when you were younger? And we might think, well, oh, well, that was a different time and it's different now. But I would argue, as much as the challenges of new media and the internet have to a whole host of entertainment options are, even down to like childhood entertainment products. I have been talking to my friends about this. Like, we have a joke, a guy we know, the joke is he says everything was better in the 80s, right? And like at the time, we were like, no, everything was not better in the 80s because blah, 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 blah. Yes. But funny enough, we're turning into a version of him because when you look at children's media with regards to cartoons, comic books, so modern times, it's not just American cartoons and comics, it's Japanese or Southeast Asian anime and manga. But even in those new genres, they themselves have started to become too commercialized, too copy and paste. And right now, when you look at what are the IPs that really drive children, it's stuff from the 90s and early 2000s. Pokemon, Naruto,
Dragon Ball Z.
Or they try to bring back stuff from the 80s. Dragon Ball Z from the 90s, or stuff from the 80s like He-Man, Ninja Turtles. Like, a lot of the new things are more often than not flashes in the pan, as opposed to IPs that will endure, right? They keep trying to reboot Star Trek. They keep trying to, what's the next Star Wars? What's the next comic book movie, right? There's 5 Rambos, there's 5 Rockies, there's Fast and Furious 10. Right. I think it'll stop with 11.
Now, because that's an interesting thing, because I feel like we are in an era of reboots and bringing things back. And I sort of worry, like, where's the original stuff? Where's the original art? Where's that sort of coming from?
First of all, there's too much activism in art, and it's not that activism is bad, it's that when you replace writers with activists who don't know how to write. Because my thing is, I have no problem with a female-led action movie. Right? I've said this before.
But it has to be good.
I wanted The Last Charlie's Angels because I was a fan of 2 of those actresses, right? I wanted to see them have careers, right?
You're talking about the remake that happened recently.
Yes, but it was bad.
It was terrible.
Right? It was bad, right? And the thing is, more men went to see it. It wasn't the fact that it was women. It was the fact that for whatever reason, look, some of the best action stars from the 80s and 90s were women. Yeah. Eleanor Ripley in Aliens 2, that was sci-fi action horror, not just sci-fi horror. Terminator 2, the level of commitment to that role, oh gosh, I can't even remember her name now. Right. But the lead actress in that movie that played Sarah Connor, the commitment she did to that role, yes, It was a physical role, but she made you believe that, yes, I could kill anybody with a paperclip right now, right?
Yes,
And here's the thing too. They didn't try to make it seem like she was a superwoman.
Right.
No, she was a normal woman who trained herself, who honed her body, who had a certain mentality, who had a certain commitment to what she believed to be the mission.
Right.
And it was such a believable character, powerful performance. No one cared that it was a woman. You know, the male lead opposite her was a robot, literally, right? Stiff as a robot. That was the whole point. All of the emotion and the intensity came from her, and we had no problem.
Yeah, those early 2000s sort of movies like Eon Flux, Ultraviolet, those sort of things.
I mean, the writing on some of those were bad.
But
no one hated them because of the actresses.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So
I it's always I always wonder, because if it's, and I think sometimes we get confused as to in terms of the level of activism, because maybe the level of activism needs to be improved behind the scenes, behind the camera, in terms of including more of a diverse crew that can make good decisions, making sure that people are paid fairly and paid well, and making sure that the awards and everything, all of those things, but not necessarily let it affect the.
So there was a movie about the African-American female soldiers that dealt with the male. It was a true story. I didn't necessarily think it was a well-thought-out movie, but it was from Netflix, right? It was a semi-historical biographic, so it's fine. But like when you have movies to try to give to like that, like it. Okay, first of all, it wasn't as good as Green Book.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if you saw it. Mahershala Ali. He plays this highly, I don't know if it's historical, but he plays this highly qualified pianist who is going on a tour in the South.
Yeah.
And he hires Viggo Mortensen to drive him.
Yeah.
Right. So you know.
I know.
And like I mean, some of these things are obvious, but you know, sometimes why reinvent the wheel? Viggo Mortensen's low-class white character, right? Who is more worldly in certain ways than the upper-class black character in the, I don't know, was it the 60s or the 50s, right? And of course, they have their different racial backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds. I mean, one is a little bit more in touch with the illegal side of the world, the underworld, so he knows how to handle himself. The white man in this case, the black man does not, but they've each seen ugliness from their world, so at some point they start to realize, you know, we can get along, we understand each other maybe more, especially over time, right? And we allow ourselves to be more trusting and open, right? And then it ends with the accomplished man, he has nobody around him because he's worked so hard in his career, he has nothing. And he's welcomed into this lower class white family because he's accepted as a human, right? It's a very straightforward kind of obvious message, but it's so effectively done. And, you know, like, you could have a good story. You could have a story to speak about racism, but it's just how do you do it well? Tuskegee Airmen, HBO TV, made-for-TV movie in 1995. This is where I fell in love with Lawrence Fishburne, Cuba Gooding Jr., Andre Brower, and a host of other black actors who I didn't even really know who they were, right? And Andre Brower, actually, he did Glory as well, which was a Civil War movie that Denzel Washington got his supporting actor thing from. That movie had a lot of in-your-face lessons, but it was still done in such a beautiful way, because I remember telling Josh this. The racism wasn't the whole point of the movie. They had to deal with racism, right? And there were those characters who were racist and those white characters who were defending them and helping them. But there was also a war.
Right.
And the movie did not end with, and we conquered racism and then we beat the Nazis. No, the movie ended with, we got our respect because we sacrificed.
Yes.
And Lawrence Fishburne is, one of the last sequences is not him celebrating with Cuba Gooding Jr. with a cigar. It's him remembering Cuba Gooding Jr. because he died.
Yes.
And all of the other characters died. And there's the last sequences, their introductions in the film, because he's remembering all of his dead friends. And the reason it was juxtaposed with him now getting the news, oh no, we were requested They wanted us. Right. We're not unwanted anymore. Yes. We have earned our place. But the validation of getting the promotion, doing a good job, earning a place comes with the loss. And that artistic choice made the movie and the message so much more powerful and lasting.
Impactful. So it's one. So based off of what I'm hearing you say, it's one of those things where it's not just the us versus them sort of in your face, explicit sort of story. It's also the nuances that come with each of these stories that come with the journey to the end of whatever that is, and not necessarily an end, but just a point in the story, a point in the journey that will have some sort of continuation, leaving the audience to wonder what's going to happen afterwards.
Because the movie was 688, that was the movie about the woman doing the mail, right? Mm-hmm. And people underestimate why that's important.
Right.
The movie, unfortunately, tries to tell you how important it is, but it comes across too...
in your face?
Yeah, and the thing is, Tuskegee Airmen had a lot of stuff in your face, you know. Right. A lot of stuff in your face, right? But the point is, they still had, well, we have a war, and men are dying, right? Cuba Gooding Jr.'s death scene is basically the pilot who was racist to him, the scene before, having to hear him basically sing his fighting song as he crashes, right? And Lawrence Fishburne is basically in tears because his best friend is going to die and there's nothing he can do about it.
Right.
Right? And the
that
guy...
sort of real, sort of raw moment.
And you kind of experience, my racism is really bad. Yeah. This man just died to save my life.
As opposed to just the...
It's not just racism bad and slap in your face, right? Like...
So it's the level of depth of the art. It's the level of depth of the storytelling.
Because the story wasn't just about the racism. The story was also about the sacrifice. Right? And what that meant to everybody, including the people that hated him before.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So that's the thing, like your story needs to do more to kind of, to not just show, racism, but what about the humanity that solved the racism, but also the adversity that you had to, it's not just the racism that you had to conquer. Right. That's one of the things I think that in modern politics, people think, we just need to conquer racism. Whereas in the past, it's not that we just need to conquer racism. It's that we have World War II and Japanese are being interned in camps, right? And how do we come back from that? Like, there was always things that had to be done. And one of the things that cured the bigotry, the sexism, the racism, the whatever, right? Bigotry against LGBTQs was the fact that life then forced you to come together to solve an obstacle, and practical reality slaps you in the face like, you can't afford to be bigoted right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so yes. So,
and the art needs to reflect that because that is more real. You don't just tell somebody it's bad and they're going to turn around. Right? What happens is, ignorance, a lot of bigotry is ignorance. So you only start to turn around when you could no longer stop ignoring.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So to go back to well, I mean, we are far from the Republic and we're out of time. But like, it's understanding the art form, right? Because then now when your art is successful in the right ways, it could be commercial. So then you have to be willing to let it fail sometimes.
Yes.
Right? But I think the risk is, like with Last Jedi, when you are trying to be special stubbornly so, and blindly so, and arrogantly so. And a lot of artists also fall in that trap. You know the stereotype when you see a movie, I'm an artist, baby. And it's like
it's like, oh my gosh.
Yes, the most arrogant is self-entitled, self-important, self-centered.
Yes.
The amount of times I came close to cussing for
dramatic effect on this episode.
But you know what I mean? Yes. What a lot of the more successful long-term artists, ironically, this is a dimension that you might not have thought about in this conversation. Humility.
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh, yes.
I just saw Eminem. He did a song where he opened the song utilizing like one of the tags of a Detroit rapper, right? So he just told him, "Come to the studio now. Listen to this. Play the song." And this guy, he's like, he's using my lines, and he's just happy for that. And then verse 2 comes, and it's silent, and M just tells him, "Now this is your part." He didn't expect none of that.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I was like, Emma was like, like a lot of the best artists, whether it's music, whether it's movies, television, how collaborative they have to be, how open they have to be. Because you also need humility and understanding to give other people the space,
space and
to
the
experiment,
chance, yes.
so you could have the space to experiment.
Yes, exactly. No, that's absolutely right. And with that humility, the authenticity comes through. And it shines through the process and it shines through the art. And this is obviously very much a collaborative effort, right? As much as I am terrified every single time. This is very much,
I don't know why. You need to come on Talking Point more to get more reps in. You'll be less terrified.
Oh my God.
That's literally how I did it. I am terrified. I'll just do this more.
Yes. That is very
How do you
true.
get rid of stage fright for singers?
Well,
you don't sing less?
Well, I mean, 10 years into the music business and I'm still stage. I still have stage fright, but I know how to deal with it a little bit better.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I'll get stage fright anymore. I might be nervous, but it's not. I used to get horrible stage fright.
Well, no.
Debilitating stage fright.
Anyway, listen, we're happy that we're still able to stand and survive and do all of the things. Ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Breakthrough on this wonderful Monday morning, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
WESN